What's up, fantasy football fans? Hello to the very first ever Sunday live stream for the Fantasy Dirt podcast. Lindsay, Rhodes, and Michael Fabiano with you, taking you up to kickoff. Going to help you with your starts and sits. That is the primary goal here. We're going to go over the actives and actives, the big news of the day. But the number one thing that we want to do here is take your questions. We're just offering up our time to you. If you have a start-sit dilemma, go ahead and throw it our way, and we'll try to get as many of them in as possible. You can plug them into the comment section. Yeah, Fabs, I'm excited to do this little interactivity on day one
I love
of
it.
the NFL season from a Sunday standpoint.
The dirt bags, baby. Let's get them all in here. Let's get all your questions in here. Lindsay and I are here for you.
So we already have some questions before we get to the questions. And I promise you, like I just said, that's our number one priority. We're going to get as many as we possibly can in. Want to hit the big news, which I'm sure you guys already know if you're following along on Twitter or any place like that. Jamar Chase does not have a contract. He is active. T. Higgins is out. There's some question I think we need to discuss about whether we feel comfortable playing Jamar Chase. We'll get to that. Tyreek Hill detained on his way into the stadium, a la Scotty Scheffler. He also will play. Russell Wilson is inactive. Justin Fields will get the start. For those of you who maybe drafted Justin Fields in one of the last rounds, do you feel comfortable plugging him into your super flex spot?
Like Lindsay Rhodes?
Me. I have so many Justin Fields super flex spots, guys,
I know
going
you
today.
do.
Dak Prescott paid, gets his new contract right under the wire. Oh, shocker. They're not going to let him actually hit free agency anyway. 4 years, $60 million per. He's the highest paid quarterback of all time. And those are the biggest headlines today. I'm not even going to get to Kendrick Lamar being the Super Bowl halftime show, because I know Fabs would do his whole who is Kendrick Lamar? I've never heard one of these songs, and we'll save that for Monday's show. So
you ain't wrong.
I mean, it's not like I don't know you.
I've
Fabs.
heard of him, but I don't know any of his music, and I don't care to.
Yeah, my son, They Not Like Us is like the favorite right now. So anyway,
another missed opportunity by the NFL to get, Alice in Chains or Metallica in there, but
I knew you were going to do like a Poison line or something like that. You just went with a different band. I knew you were going to do that. You are so predictable. By the way, very interesting that the NFL's come down on a side of one of the great rap battles of right now, right? They've made an enemy in Drake. We'll get to that later. Let's take some questions.
Oh, how dare they? I don't know. I don't even know who's battling who or what. I know who Drake is. I used
Fields
to like Drake's cupcakes, by the way.
Fields. I regret bringing that up. I knew I would.
Fields or who?
Goff.
No, Goff.
Bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, no, Goff. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. You disagree?
No.
Listen, I like Justin Fields. I would have picked him up. I don't necessarily think he's a must start, but Goff is playing a home game against the Rams. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I can get behind Goff. You guys, look, I'm biased for this whole Justin Fields thing partially because I snatched him up in the last round of every draft that I have. So I prepared for this moment. I did my homework, and this is what I was waiting for. This felt inevitable, not so much in week one, but there's a big opportunity here for him. Russell might not get this job back. He might, because Justin Fields has not been a perfect quarterback in the NFL in all of his days. But he's going to have a lot to prove, right? He knows this is a huge game for him. He's going to have to play his absolute best to try and grab this job and not give it back to Russell. But Goff is a good play this week. So I think that's a much safer play. I'll say that for sure. I think Fields probably has a higher ceiling potentially, but Goff's floor feels much, much higher in this game than Fields, and you want to get out of the gate strong. Let's go to the next question. Should I be worried to start Chase? I think that's the biggest question. One of the biggest questions of the week, to be honest with you, and that's one that I'm asking myself.
Yeah, I mean, Lindsay, it really depends on what your alternatives are. It's still Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is not going to play. What kind of snap count is Chase going to be on, if any? And from what the reports have been, it seems like there could be some sort of a snap count there, but it depends on what your alternatives are. I have Jamar Chase and I'm going to play him. I'm going to play. Listen, all it takes is one catch for a touchdown against a bad defense that couldn't stop wide receivers last year in New England. And you get yourself, 12, 13 points. Now temper your expectations. Don't expect, 25 from Jamar, but I could still see in a PPR league, 5 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. That still makes him startable, even if it's just as a flex.
My concern with Jamar Chase is twofold, right? Like all the things that you just said, but also he does not have a contract. Like if he needs to like stretch for something, is he going to do it? Like I assume that the contract is still coming, but if he gets hurt in week 1, he is screwed. He is screwed. I think he is disincentivized from actually going 100%. Like this game, you don't want to lose any game. You always want to put your best foot forward, but I just don't. In the long run, they can recover from a loss this week. But he can't recover from an injury. And I'm scared of him. I know everything that you just said, and I've seen a lot of other people saying there is not a single league, where I would even think about sitting him. And I get that. I'm still thinking of sitting him because I agree with you. He could get there quickly and it wouldn't take much. But I also just feel like there are more reasons for him to not give 100% than there are for him to go out there and play hard.
I will say this. I know a lot of athletes, and I have talked to athletes about playing at less than 100%. And guys will tell me that if you aren't playing at 100%, you have a better chance of getting hurt. So I don't think it behooves Jamar Chase at all to go out there and dog it. Now, if he feels a little twing in his hamstring or something like that, we had Adam Schefter on the podcast earlier in the week. Yeah, I mean, that could be a cause for concern. But I just feel like we're overthinking things. Like if you're starting 2 or 3 wide receivers, Jamar Chase is probably going to be one of them if he's on your roster.
Okay, let's say you have another good wide receiver, because this is the dilemma that I'm in. I have another good wide receiver that I could plug into the wide receiver spot, and then it opens up a flex spot, right? So would I rather have Jamar Chase or like a volume running back, perhaps like a Zamir White or a Zach Moss, somebody that's definitely going to touch the ball a ton and in the flex spot? That's the dilemma that I have. I have another wide receiver.
I can see that. I can see that. Yes. If you're talking about a flex spot, I can see getting in a running back who's going to get the volume, like you said, like a Zamir White, for example. Now I'm not going down to like a Zach Moss who's in a committee. I would think about that, but just for me, I'm probably playing Jamar 9 times out of 10.
Okay. All right. Chase is going to kill us this week, one way or the other, right? Like, because people are going to bench him and then he's going to have a big day, or they're going to play him and he's absolutely going to rotate in for like 3 plays or something like that. Like, this is the biggest dilemma of week 1, and I hate it already. Let's get to the next question. Who else we got? Alex. Mm-hmm. Alex is our producer behind the scenes, by the way. Everybody say hi to Alex.
We got
Tua or Jaden Daniels? I know what I would do.
I'm going Jaden Daniels.
Me too. Yeah. And in other situations, I'm fine saying, I'm going to put Jaden Daniels down here. I'm just going to watch. I want to wait for 1 week. Like, because I actually am not a believer in the offense, and I think that could be problematic for him. His O-line is concerning. His pass catchers are concerning. He's got the rushing upside. We love that. But I want to see this offense and how it affects him as a quarterback, period. But I do think that there's more upside than Tua in this.
I like Tua too. But I've moved Jaden Daniels, up in my rankings a few spots as the week's gone on, because I dropped Joe Burrow down because of no T. Higgins and the question marks about Jamar Chase. So I've got Jaden at 12 now. So yeah, both good plays though. Both good plays.
Okay. We've got Neighbors or McLaurin. I'd go Neighbors.
Yeah, for me, this is Neighbors. Yeah. The matchup's positive. Minnesota was bad against perimeter receivers last year. Don't get me wrong. I like McLaurin. Matchup wise, he loses between himself and Neighbors.
Okay, man, we're just firing through them. Want to get as many of these as possible. Again, like we said, this is the goal here. So we'll just keep them coming. And Alex, you can pop up the next one on the screen. We'll get to it. If we're just yapping, I promise we'll get to it at some point. Jerome Ford or Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones.
Yes.
I know you love that answer. Yes, it's Aaron Jones.
I do, especially out of the gate. He's healthy, right? Like the only concern that we have is whether or not he can get. We were talking. You were expressing concerns about Aaron Jones during draft season. I think that mostly that for you is related to the fact that he was unable to be on the field as consistently as we wanted last year, right? And he's getting older, and so we don't know. But the last thing that we saw from him is he crushed down the stretch and in the postseason. And so if you're going to get him and you're going to get a full complement of him in week 1, I think you have to play Aaron Jones. I think that could be a potentially very high number. And I trust the talent more than I do Jerome Ford. And plus Jerome Ford is playing the Cowboys. And so there's that. Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins? For me, this is Dak.
Got to be honest with you. I don't love either. I am going Dak, but neither one is a good play. The Browns were unbelievably tough at home against quarterbacks last year. QBs averaged fewer than 10 points per game in Cleveland last year. But Kirk Cousins is coming back from an Achilles. He hasn't played since the middle of last year. New offense. The Steelers defense is good. I'm going to go with Dak.
Dak just got paid. How do you think that potentially, like, how do you see that potentially affecting this game?
I think he's going to be smiling a lot during the game today. It's like, unless he throws an interception. But even then, listen, his bank account just blew up, man. $60 million a year for 4 years. He's a happy man. I think Jerry Jones blew it with Dak. I think he overpaid him. He could have signed him a couple years ago and paid a lot less, but that's Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons is going to want a contract in the next couple of years too. So we'll see how that goes. But,
by the way,
yeah.
If he'd paid him before Jordan Love got paid, he could have paid him a lot less. Because then you're just looking at Joe Burrow at 55, and you can slot in under Joe Burrow. If you come in under 55, then that totally makes sense. But now that Jordan Love got 55, now Dak's like, absolutely not. I have all the leverage. He had all the leverage here. It was insane. This is, again, we don't want to take up too much of the time ranting and raving about that, because I could go on for the entire half an hour about how the Cowboys blew this. Zamir White or Jalen Waddle PPR?
Jalen Waddle easily. That's going to be a high scoring game.
Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. Zamir White is like that tier of running back where I think you're probably, unless you really went like 0 RB, and you're probably looking at him in a flex, and you probably have better options. And I think he's a very smart, like, I have him on a couple of benches where I'm like just looking for running back depth if I waited for a while on running backs, but I am probably not going to slide him in. Except for the Jamar Chase dilemma, which I'll have to revisit, whatever, before 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock my time, 1 o'clock East time. Would you start Brock Bowers, or can I get Ertz or Hurst off of waivers?
Brock Bowers or Hurts off of waivers, or Ertz off of waivers? It Ertz so good. I am going to go.
You have eyes. You can see them on your screen too, right?
I know. We have there are so many questions in here that it's
on our screen, Fabs. Look at the video.
I'm going Bowers. I'm going
going to teach you guys. Don't worry. I'm going to teach Michael Fabiano how to use a live stream.
I just scrolled up because I was at the bottom of the questions, and there's so many questions. It's crazy.
Like I said, don't look at the questions. Look at the video screen. The comment is coming up on the video screen. You guys figure it out.
Is this big? I can't.
We're not going to fight right now. We're just not going to do it. But I got you people. I would still go Brock Bowers in that scenario. Because the other one's a roll of the dice also. And so I would do that. That said, like, I have Hurst. I might be playing him somewhere. I'm desperate, but that's a different story. All right, let's Jermaine Burton. No, you should not start Jermaine Burton. And I hate to tell you that. I think he's so low on the depth chart right now in Cincinnati that I think that I would start Trenton Irwin before I would start Jermaine Burton. I think Jermaine Burton, the buzzwords that came out of Cincinnati in the reports about him this week are very concerning in the short term. Not like if you have him in Dynasty, awesome. Stash him on your bench. This is great. This is the offense you want a wide receiver in, but you might have to hold him. Like, they literally use the word redshirt season when discussing him. It doesn't sound like things are clicking. He's not catching up as fast as they want him to. And they talked about him being inactive. I actually haven't even seen his name on the actives and actives list, so I don't even know if he is inactive. Either way, I wouldn't go there. I don't think he's going to be the number one priority today. Do you have any thoughts? I didn't just steal that one. People probably want to.
No, I agree with you. I agree.
Okay. Thanks. Amari Cooper or Jordan Addison? This is Amari for me.
Yeah, it is. Addison's got a better matchup. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I mean, I can't play Addison with Sam Darnold and the unknown of how that offense is going to look over Amari Cooper, who, oh, by the way, has what, Lindsay? Revenge game against my beloved Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. Do you think it still feels revengey? It's like several years later. He's definitely going up to revengey. Dak and CD, and he's like, am I right though? Like, these guys and these contracts, like, just pay people, for crying out loud. By the way, Jermaine Burton is active. I still would not play him. That said, we haven't even said the name. I know I don't probably even need to, but like the one that is a legit question that would live on your bench, but actually is a guy that you should consider starting this week is Andre Oshavash. That guy moves into the wide receiver one role, depending on, the whole Jamar Chase situation. Like, I think I think he could end up today as their target leader. Do you agree? Or do you think it'll still be Chase?
I mean, I have Chase ranked a mile ahead of Yoshibashi in this game.
Of course, because he's Chase, but like we don't know
right,
what.
Right. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. It depends on where they're lining him up too. Like, if you're lining up in the slot, I think, that's going to be a bit of an easier matchup. If he's out wide, maybe it's a little bit tougher of a matchup, but certainly a sleeper DFS play as well because he's cheap.
Okay, Kyren or Javonte? For me, this is Kyren by a mile.
Yeah, it's Kyren, maybe by a half a mile for me. Detroit's defense is just really good against the run. At least it was last season. I do love Javonte. Javonte has a better matchup by a country mile. Javonte's matchup against Seattle is gold, Jerry. It's gold. But I'm still going with Kyren Williams. Better offense, the possibility of red zone opportunities, the possibility of getting into the end zone. So I'm going Kyren here.
Kyren, just worth noting, last year, there were several games that we looked at and we said, man, this matchup is tough, you guys. You might want to think about not playing him, and he smashed. I would not sit a Rams running back unless they take the field today and all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, it's a committee. And then we stop and we pull back and we think about what to do with that situation. That is not how they've ever done it. So we have to anticipate Kyren is the starter. So that's what they say he is. And that it's going to be a feature back role in a very good offense that likes to run the ball. I mean, everything says Kyren. Okay. Like if you had concerns in drafts because of the Blake Corum or can he stay healthy? He's dealt with some injuries, that kind of stuff. I get it. But in week 1, right now, with the information we have, you have to play Kyren. You drafted him in like the 2nd or 3rd round. Javonte was way at the bottom of the running backs, and that was for a reason. So just go with what we know to this point, and then we'll pivot if we learn something that we weren't expecting today. What else do we have here? Should we start CMC?
Yes. Next question.
Yeah. just to like, it's a fair question because he's been dealing with this injury. We saw, by the way, calf, Jordan Love, even before he left with the injury at the end of the game, for the entire second half, he was getting his calf worked out. He was eating a banana on the sideline. He looked awful for a bunch of different reasons. What were the reasons? Why was he not? Like, his footwork was a disaster. Was it because his calf was bothering him? Like, it could certainly affect you. A calf
or the field sucked.
It could be that too. A bunch of different things. But I'm just saying, like, a calf is nothing to is like, that's no joke. So that is a valid concern, but you have to play CMC in week 1. You would. God, is this Chase? Is this the same? Are they the same? Am I saying one thing for CMC and taking totally different advice for Chase?
No, CMC. I mean, there hasn't been any issues with him in terms of like practicing throughout the week, whether it's been limited or in any full participation. I don't think it's the same situation, but okay, I'm playing.
That makes me feel better.
Chase, and I'm playing MC, and I'm playing McCaffrey.
I just want to make sure I'm not being hypocritical. Which Buffalo wide receiver should I start?
I actually have Khalil Shakir ranked highest out of the Bills receivers this week.
Okay, follow-up question. Should you actually start him though? Like, that is a relative answer, right? Like, how deep would you need to go?
That to me, that's getting cute. To me, that's more DFS. You've got to have a couple wide receivers better than Khalil Shakir this week. So starting him would be, as I like to say, getting cute. But if you're looking for a Bills receiver to start, that would be the one that I would start.
Do you happen, I'm putting you on the spot here and we're moving fast, do you happen to remember roughly where his ranking was?
I have him ranked at 47 among wide receivers, so it's pretty low.
Okay. But he could be in like a second flex or something like that, depending on how many starters you have and what your other options are potentially. I love that we're getting so many questions. I mean, no time to chat about this, but that's fine. This is the whole point of this. Purdy or Jaden Daniels? I think we're going to get a lot of either ors that involve Jaden Daniels today, and I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's JD for me.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Brock Purdy's got the worst matchup of any quarterback in the league this week against the Jets. So yeah. If I can sit Brock Purdy this week, I'm going to try to do it.
Okay. Who do I start at flex? I have Moss, Dell, Addison, Rome, or Curtis Samuel.
For me, this is Tank Dell in what could be a high scoring game
We're looking
against
for one?
the Colts.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Let's say let's give him another one. Let's say they're starting two.
If I was going with another one, it would probably be Zach Moss.
Me too. Yep. Yeah. So let me ask you this follow-up question about Zach Moss. With the whole Jamar Chase thing, let's say he's rotating in and out. Let's say he's not an every down player today. And so you don't have him or T like the way that you would expect them to. Zach Moss, does he become, I would assume they have to lean on the run a little bit more than they otherwise would. Does that mean that the defense can key in on him and take him out of the game? Are you more concerned to play Zach Moss or are you more excited to play Zach Moss? Which way does it go for him?
Yeah, I think that if anything, the Bengals are going to have to lean on the run a little bit more, which means both Moss and Chase Brown, and potentially Chase Brown being utilized in a pass catching role because T is not going to play. You've got, some other inexperienced players behind him, guys who are obviously not the sexiest names in the world. Although I know you love Andrea. Is it Andrea or Andre? Andre Josevich. I mean, I know you dig him. That's such a hockey name, by the way. It's such a hockey name. Like what? I've struggled, with Shea Ijiritutu over the years and Albert Okwuegbunam.
You just showed off. He just
I did a little bit well because it was
to show that he could.
Yeah, it would be Dell for me and then Moss after that. Moss is a flex starter, but like it's a tough call because is it a 50-50 split with Chase Brown? We heard all Chase Brown, boom, this guy's all of a sudden his ADP is going through the roof and Zach Moss is dropping. And I didn't understand why, because I still think Zach Moss is the early down back and a guy who's going to get the goal line looks. But if this ends up being a 50-50 split, then obviously both guys become, flex starters at best and risky ones.
All righty. Lots and lots of questions. Should I start? I've seen Adunze's name come up quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on your alternatives. Like, in a vacuum, like, should you start Adunze? Probably not. Right. But if he's I have him ranked at 46 at wide receiver this week. Keenan Allen's going to play. We know he's active. He was dealing with a little bit of an injury throughout the week, but he got in limited sessions all week, so he's good. You've got DJ Moore. You've got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. You got the two tight ends and a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams making his NFL debut. So to me, is he a guy that I'm starting? In most cases, no, because I just feel like it's week one and there are better options out there in week one. We got to go to school, kids. We got to find out exactly what the rotation of this Bears wide receiver group is. And as Lindsay would probably point out, in the preseason, they didn't run as much as 11 as we kind of thought they would.
That has to change. I want all three of those guys on the field the entire time. Get those tight ends off.
Yeah, you would think so.
That's just me. They don't help us in fantasy at all this year. By the way, if you're late to that party, please don't start either of them. Gerald Everett or Cole Kmet. Almost anybody else is what I would say. Kamara or Pickens, half point PPR. For me, this is Kamara.
Yep, I agree. Kamara, the centerpiece of that offense alongside Chris Olave. And we know Kendry Miller's out for the first 4 games at least. I don't think Jamal Williams is going to see a massive touch share. Let's put it that way in this backfield. So it's Kamara.
Yeah, Pickens, this will be an interesting one this week because I'm excited about Justin Fields from a fantasy standpoint. He's got a lot of questions to answer from a real football standpoint. We'll see what this looks like in Pittsburgh. I'm not the biggest Pickens fan either. He kind of hits and misses. He's a little inconsistent in terms of some of the most basic parts of, playing the wide receiver position in terms of route running and stuff like that. But so that combination, I think we could have a catchable ball rate that's a little bit lower, maybe a catch rate that's a little bit lower. Those two combined might not be ideal. We'll see. But Kamara feels much safer, even though he's a little bit older. And I feel like we haven't talked about him at all this season. I think, he'll return value for where he went in drafts and I would play him. Ayuk or Pittman. I would go Pittman. And in drafts, that's
agreed.
I like Ayuk. I would rather, but in this case, I think.
Yeah, I think that Colts Texans game could be high scoring. And we've already heard reports about Ayuk potentially being on a snap count because he didn't play in preseason or training camp as he held out over a contract and Jets. So it's Pittman.
Yeah. Yes. But, and again, we talk about this all the time with the Niners. This is one of the things that I think held people back from observing Brandon Ayuk for the talent that he is, because he's in an offense where they just kind of take turns and he'll have a very good week and then a week where he's much lower from a fantasy standpoint and it's a big Kittle week. I'm predicting this to be more of a Kittle game than an Ayuk game. And so I would, I think they're always going to keep us on our toes in fantasy there in San Francisco. Purdy or Herbert? Purdy for me, even in the bad matchup.
I've got Purdy ranked at 18 and I've got Herbert at 21. So it's close, but I'm going to go Purdy. I don't know what to expect from Justin Herbert in that offense. I really don't. And so, like, if I'm in Superflex, am I starting Herbert? Yeah, of course I'm starting him. But
Right.
and I know Brock Purdy's got like the worst matchup in the world, but I have more faith in the Niners offense than I do in the Chargers offense right now. And with the Chargers offense going from Kellen Moore and throw to Greg Roman and hey, we want to run, I'm going to side with Purdy. I don't love either one though this week.
Yeah. Let's also like pull back for a second about the Jets. All we've heard this offseason, and we're excited about Garrett Wilson, we're excited about Brees, we're excited about like different pieces. But if you just pull back and you're just taking in NFL reports, it's that things have been a disaster, that they're not on the same page, that the vibes are bad, like all of this kind of stuff. Like they weren't good last year. Like, so we're moving them straight to the front of the line for a lot of reasons, just because of individual talent. But sometimes the team stuff actually matters. So I'm not as worried about the Niners this week. I even would think about playing them in a Survivor League. I'm just saying. Brock Purdy or Caleb? I'm
Caleb.
You know. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited that you agree with me, and we don't even have to debate whether or not that's just because I went to USC. Are you? This is a question for somebody else. Someone in the chat. You guys are chatting with each other, and I support that. Burrow Chase stack. I would not go with a Burrow Chase stack. I would not do that. Well, actually, when I think of stacks, I'm thinking primarily DFS. I wouldn't do that.
DFS
For sure. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about traditional fantasy, then yeah. But
Okay.
I mean, what are your alternatives? But in DFS, Chase is going to be expensive. I don't know if I want to go there.
Okay. Yeah. That probably wasn't a DFS question, but when I hear, I'm thinking of that.
Gen 23. I love this question. I love it.
I need to start saying your names. I'm sorry, by the way. I suck at this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to teach Fabs where the graphics are, and then I will start acknowling that you guys are here because I am so grateful. I'm just so like, who should we start? That I'm
Gen 23. I love this question. I will give you some answers. Kaimi Fairbairn, I am starting all over the place this week. Younghoe Koo, I'm starting in a bunch of places. Cairo Santos, I'm starting in a bunch of places. If you want to go even deeper than that, Chase McLaughlin against the Commanders and Jake Bates against the Rams are two guys that you could grab off the waiver wire.
Okay. We are going to be here for 3 more minutes, so we're going to start doing some rapid fire.
Come on, 3 more minutes.
Matt Mullins.
I can go 10 more minutes.
I know.
Come on,
Matt
Rhodes.
Mullins, you are amazing for being here. Brian Robinson or Andre Yoshivash?
I'm still going Robinson. I'm sorry. I'm still going Robinson.
Are you?
I don't know what Yoshivash is going to be today. So like, I just think you have a better option. Brian Robinson is a better option for me.
Okay, I'm not going to confuse
Lindsay
things. I'll stick with Fabs.
it.
Plus, we said rapid fire. Tajay Spears or J.K. Dobbins, double flex, half PPR.
Ooh, Tajay.
Me too. Okay, I don't want any part of the Chargers backfield for now. I might be wrong there. Derek, hi, thank you for being here. 12 team PPR, Deontay or David Montgomery at the flex. RB1 is Gibbs. So are you playing both of them or going somewhere different?
I don't mind playing both because I think it's going to be a high scoring game. And I honestly don't love Deontay Johnson today. So I wouldn't mind playing both Lions running backs.
Panthers Saints?
Yeah.
You don't want that.
I don't love it.
Okay. I do like Deontay to get a lot of targets, but I also think you're guaranteed probably a couple touchdowns between that.
And by the way, that may or may not be my my Survivor League picks this week.
God, I got to do that. Okay, hold on. Okay. Survivor.
All right. MJH. Hey, your initials are almost mine. Mine are MJF. We're like,
no one cares. B. Thomas.
Spirit animals.
Brian Thomas Jr., Brandon Cooks, or D.
I'm going Brian Thomas. I'm not going Cooks against Cleveland. DeAndre Hopkins is dealing with a knee. I ain't messing with that. I'm going to go Thomas.
Yep. Same. Andre, Chuba Hubbard, Devin Singletary. Me too. Okay. I love it when we agree, Fabs, especially for rapid fire, because that would really mess things up. Brian, non-PPR. Oh, standard. This one's for Fab.
That's easy. That makes it easy.
It's Chuba.
Get your Chuba on, baby. That's right.
I don't. MJ, he does care. Okay, I don't. Predator Wild, Jamar Chase, Debo, or Amari. Now this is sometimes you're gonna have a bunch of wide receivers to play.
I know. So if I'm starting two though, I'm going Jamar and I'm going Debo. Like I'm going with my big guns, man. I mean, Amari's matchup isn't,
You're going to sit
spectacular
Amari
either.
on the bench when Jamar might not play the whole game.
Yep.
My,
I stick with my
I'm
big
not.
guns. I stick with my big guns.
Totally. I would no. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
I want somebody who I know is healthy, is a big part of the game plan. Chase hasn't been there. I wouldn't do that. If I have a very good other option, and I think in your case you do, I would do that. Start Cup over Chase. I
Yes. Marlo, yes. Cup over Chase. Yes, absolutely. That's a situation where I feel good about benching Jamar Chase.
Yep, because you have another good option. All right. This is awesome. I love this. You guys have so many good questions. These are incredible. And we could have gone much longer. So we're going to set our lineups now. And apparently I need to come up with my Survivor touchdown picks because that was something.
You're going to cheat off of me. You're going to just take the 3 Lions and that's going to be it.
No. I won't, because then that doesn't help me at all. Right? Like I'm in it to win it. I'm not here to tie it with you, bro.
No, it's not tying. You advance. One guy scores a touchdown and you move on. Cheater. You're going to cheat.
Okay.
I love the haircut, by the way.
Thank you.
Very cute.
Different. A little different.
Just make me look worse here.
We're going to be back on Monday to recap everything that we're about to see today. I am the most excited that I've ever been, and I'm going to go focus on some really bad football games because that's where we have the most questions, right? Like, who are the Patriots wide receivers? Like, which ones are playable? Are any of them playable? These are the games that I'll be focusing on. Fabs will be watching just the Cowboys, and then we'll talk on Monday. I'm just kidding.
I'm watching Scott Hansen. Every touchdown from every game.
Yes, that's true. Me too. Yeah. I made sure I had it yesterday. I was on hold with DirecTV. It was a whole thing. Anyway, we will be back again on Monday with a podcast. Remember, guys, Fantasy Dirt podcast now with Sports Illustrated 5 days a week. We're not on SiriusXM anymore, but you can still listen to us like we are if you did before, because all you have to do is just pull up that podcast whenever you are in the car, whenever you feel like it. Now you don't have to come at a specific time. And so we will. Thank you very much, Matt, for the comment. We'll be here 5 days a week to help you with your questions. We're going to do this every Sunday, so we can maybe make it a date. Like, just put it in your calendar. Noon.
Let's do it.
Us.
Come on.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, guys. Enjoy the games.
Good luck, everybody.